Yeah, there are exciting news about Infinigate and Starlink. Starlink, the biggest, best value-add distributor in the Middle East. And Infinigate will partner up and merge the companies to a real powerhouse in the Middle East and Europe to develop the best cybersecurity, secure cloud, and secure networking company in that region.
Our dream since we started Starlink, how we can bring Starlink to become a global players in the market, and we cannot do it alone. So we have a mission to become $1 billion, and we are halfway now. We are at 500 million. So getting both company together, we will be overachieving. So I'm very excited to see that this dream become true, and this cannot be done without having the right partnership. And thank you for hosting me here as well. And yeah, so we will enjoy the discussion together today. Yeah, Starlink is considered one of the largest cybersecurity value-added distributor in Middle East. Actually, we headquartered in Dubai. We started back in 2005, and we have now more than 300 resources working for Starlink across the region. And yeah, in terms of revenue, close to $500 million. We transact with more than 1,500 business partners that help us to reach out to more than 5,000 customers and end users that we are able to support them for the last 17 years. So Starlink in summary considered one of the fast growing value-added distributor in Middle East, specialized in cybersecurity. And in 2015, we started our journey toward the cloud. So we become the trusted cyber and cloud advisor to our customers and their partners.
Infinigate is a value-add distributor in the cybersecurity space. We are located in Switzerland, our headquarters, and doing business in 11 countries in Europe. Had last year around 800 million euros revenue, and we're very much focused on the cybersecurity space. Companies 25 years old, have been growing every year 25%, and with approximately 400 people, we have a lot of expertise and technical people to cover the value-add part of the cybersecurity distribution part. And the company has been evolving through acquisitions, but also through organic growth. And obviously our target is to become a world-class organization globally. And with our last year's growth and aspirations, we've been proving that this model works very nicely. We've been also moving into the cloud lately, and that also is a very interesting part of our business and will be even more interesting and important in the future.
First, our sales engine that Starlink managed to build in the last 17 years, which really helped us to drive an incremental business to our vendors and helping our partner to scale their business. When I talk about sales engine here, I'm referring to our unique approach to the market when it comes to generating a business through our business development manager who's touching the end user directly in order to generate a demand and routing the entire business through our channel. Plus the support that we get from our marketing engines and our product management and channel. So if you combine all of the activity that we do, it really gives us a very unique value proposition when it comes to sales force across all the countries that we operate in UAE or in Saudi Arabia or in Qatar or in Egypt. Being locally presented close to our partners and their customer, it helps us really to accelerate the sales cycle. That's the first thing which is special about Starlink. The second is actually what we managed to build in terms of portfolio. I mean, we have more than 60 plus vendors in our portfolio, and they are the market leader in their domain. And we build the portfolio based on very interesting story, what we call a data life cycle, which is bringing the right vendors together in order to, and integrated vendors together in order to provide our customer with the right solutions, starting from understanding and giving the customer the visibility about the location of their data being on-prem, or if their sensitive data sitting on the cloud, and how the customer is communicating with their data, and most importantly, how we are securing the access to their sensitive data and make sure that their sensitive data not at risk. And one of the key things that we managed to build, even the data protection solution that we have, that really help providing very much an integrated solutions to our customer. And the third point, which related to our operations excellency in terms of offering the right technical support. Actually, we have achieved 95% resolutions rate, which is above the market benchmark in terms of being able to resolve the customer technical support issues, and helping them also in professional services, trainings, and reaching up to 92% of the customer retention is critical for us. So this is in summary how we are special, and actually we keep improving our operation year over year by introducing new initiatives. So yeah, that's how I summarize how we become special.
So Infinigate, as a value-add distributor in the cybersecurity space, has three elements which makes Infinigate special. That is focus, it's technical expertise, and passion. So explaining everything a little bit, focus, we are totally focused on cybersecurity. We will not go left and right, try to find other fields. Cybersecurity is such an interesting and great space to be. So we are always focusing on cybersecurity. We also have focus internally in the organization. We focus on certain aspects of cybersecurity when it comes to our vendor partners. And that always is a very positive point, when you talk with your vendor partners and your reseller partners, that you focus on a specific field. Technical expertise, we have roughly 400 people in Europe. Half of that are technical people. So we basically provide our vendor partners and resellers people who speak the cybersecurity language. They understand the technology. They can offer solutions rather than products. And I think that's also a big differentiator for us, that we are really offering with technical expertise and the language, those experts understand the solutions. And then passion, obviously our people are very passionate about the business, about the technology, about the marketplace. And that comes across, specifically when we deal with customers.
We feel there's a great synergy between what Infinigate managed to build in Europe and what we have done in Middle East. And it took us 4 years now till we complete the transaction. And it was really a super exciting activities for us, because the key important thing about this merge is to make sure that there's a value add that we bring to our vendors and partners and their customers. And what really the most interesting thing about this transaction is the culture fit in terms of what we are doing internally. And we will be together the one of the largest cybersecurity value-added distributor globally. And another things, when you look at Starlink portfolio and our go-to-market strategy and Infinigate portfolio, it's very interesting, because we will be the only value-added distributor who's managing to address the market end-to-end. We are specialized on the enterprise market, and you are mastering the commercial market as well. So I think that's very important when we combine both portfolio together and going to the market. I think there's a lot of integrations and synergy between geographic-wise as well, become one of the largest MEA distributor as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. What was interesting when we started discussing, we found basically out that there are so many similarities.
Yeah.
The companies are ticking completely the same, and that's really interesting. And then with a geographically, split, basically it's 1 + 1 is actually more than 2. And I think that was very inspiring to see basically that there is a company, feels like relatives, you know, and that makes the whole setup very, very nice. Together we have more relevance in the market, and that was one of the driving factors, you know, to talk to Nidal and Mahmoud and find out what we can do together. And we found out, you know, that can be a real good additional setup. Two companies doubling the size more or less of each other, being more relevant, having more services to customers, having more geographical reach for our vendor partners. So there's lots of synergies, and there's none of the synergies whatsoever. So the equation was pretty easy. And then also, it's also people need to work together. And we clicked from the beginning on, and I think that's also important that people can work together. And that's a good basis from my perspective to develop something great in this industry. And we both have the ambition, obviously, to create a company which goes beyond the EMEA setup we have today. Yeah, the aim, you know, to put those two companies together is basically to build a powerhouse in EMEA. Together with Starlink and the Infinigate Group, we will be beyond 2 billion euro revenue. So that has a size which is very significant in the marketplace. Obviously, we want to offer our vendor partners a full coverage across the whole European countries, all the Middle East countries, all the African countries. So that's a huge geographical expansion for our vendor partners. For our customers, it basically means that we have a lot more technical expertise in the company. So we will cover a lot more technical areas of the cybersecurity and cloud and secure networking part. So if a customer has a problem, you know, we will find somebody in the company who can solve the problem. With doubling the technical expertise in the company, it will be great for our customers. And we will have a broader portfolio. So what we can offer to our customer base is solutions across a broader portfolio with world-class companies. And that obviously is a real good value proposition for everybody being involved in our business. And it's certainly that the relevancy will also help us to drive further expansion in the cloud, but also geographically later on. That will really help us to build a world-class value-add cybersecurity distributor operating globally at some point in time.
As I mentioned in the beginning, we have a lot of synergy between us because we're going to continue running as separate entities because each of us running a different geography. So we will stay focused as a Starlink, focusing on Middle East as a regions, expanding within the Middle East and Africa. And definitely Infinigate will continue their expansion within Europe. However, both of companies, we have a global plan, you know, to go to another regions as well, to become one of the largest cybersecurity value-added distributor. We should think about other regions other than EMEA. There's a lot of vendor that we need to, you know, complement each other. We need to get into the commercial space in Middle East because we are playing on the enterprise space. So with the portfolio that and the expertise that Infinigate has, it will help us to get into that domain. And the same thing in Europe. I mean, we can work with Infinigate to scale their vendor coverage to the enterprise vendors. So that's where we are feeling that there's a lot of synergy between what we're going to do. And top of that, definitely having the common back-end systems that we're going to utilize it together. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's very evident there are two different regions and they are run in their region, obviously. Yeah. And that's the beauty of the discussions, you know. Nidal has a company which has a central organization with covering many countries. Infinigate has the same system, you know. We are covering many countries, so we know what we are talking about and we are experts in our regions. And I think, you know, that's always Infinigate style. We appreciate and like the local entrepreneurship because people who are close to the customers, they know what they are doing. You know, a center can never dictate what the local guys should do. the customer demand, also the vendor prerequisites and requirements are potentially different. So I think there's always a local flavor, but we can learn from each other and put the best out and create a world-class company. Yeah, the combined revenue of the companies, and I take obviously all the other acquisitions into that calculation as well, will be roughly 2.2 billion euros. So it's a quite sizable business, and when we do the math, you can basically see that within 2-3 years the company will be well beyond 3 billion, because Starlink as well as Infinigate and the other companies we've been acquiring are usually growing between 20% and 30% every year. So you do the math, 2.2 billion times 2 years, 25%, you're very close to 3 billion. And I would say that's what we need to take into consideration when we build the company together, that we have people, that we have the organization which can actually support the 3 billion revenue number. And then the sky is the limit, obviously, because cybersecurity is a 100 billion market globally. Yeah, the Middle East for us was, of course, very attractive when we look at the underlying data. I mean, when you look at the Middle East, how the region was growing the last 20 years, and just project out the next 20 years, it will be a powerhouse globally. And there's lots of adoption of new technology. The cybersecurity spending is extremely high. There are lots of companies which are developing very fast. There's an emerging SMB market coming up. So the growth rates overall, the macroeconomics and the future of that region is obviously highly attractive. And I think it's a really interesting move to go there with local help, and obviously to participate on that macroeconomic growth which we are seeing. Also, it's a region where we see early adoption. Some companies, they start actually out in the Middle East rather than in Europe because of the willingness to really test new stuff and new products very early in the life cycle. So the region has various areas which looked very attractive for us to get really serious about that region.
It's our combined portfolio. Today, Starlink has more than 60 vendors in our portfolio, and Infinigate have more than 80 vendors. You can imagine the combined and vendors that we have, talk about more than 100 vendors. And that really helped us to scale the business with our channel.
And for a new vendor, for example, it's a perfect match. We can offer a huge geographical area. And for existing vendors, obviously, who are doing a nice business with us, Infinigate in Europe, we can obviously expand the collaboration, staying in the same, company. And in that sense, I think it's very favorable for vendor partners to use basically the infrastructure we have been building up here across many countries in the EMEA region. Yeah, so I mean, there are two great companies coming together with a 20% plus growth. I think our first view is always, how can we have enough skilled people to really develop that company further with a 20% growth? So obviously, we are very interested in developing our people within the organization. And obviously, due to the geographical, different locations, there's a need for almost every function, being really present in the different regions. And I foresee basically that those two regions will really develop together. But when it comes to the market approach, with their own flavor in every market. And it's not a synergy case whatsoever. It's all about growth, growing the company, providing people opportunities. People can move from different countries and regions to Europe and vice versa, to Dubai or other countries. I think especially for our own people, it's going to be very exciting because of the opportunities we will have to offer to everybody who's really in it and likes to develop themselves.
And really, this is one of the most exciting things.
Yes.
When we get into this transaction and this discussion is the future, because we have a long-term commitment to our employees and our partners, customers, and vendors.
Yeah.
So that's why when we put our plan and the commitment from both parties is to have really a long-term relationship. And that's why it took us 4 years to discuss
exactly.
because we need to have the right management and the right setup.
Yeah.
And so that's why we are super excited with this acquisition, and we believe the company from now, we are opening a new chapter for the upcoming 10 years, and there's a lot of things to do together.
Exactly.
So for us, we're going to learn a lot from your experience in Europe and bringing that experience also to Middle East and vice versa.
Exactly.
So as a commitment, me and Mahmoud, we're going to stay there and that was part of the deal.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, one of the reasons why we got together was basically the two great founders with Nidal and Mahmoud. It's just exceptional to get to know those people with such an expertise, and obviously that's for us a major asset within the Infinigate Group, to have two people with a very high expertise in the management group. So that obviously is a long-term commitment, and we really want to benefit from each other. Knowledge and passion and view and mission. We are getting into the company and we are talking about founders. 15 years building a business, having the expertise in our company is just unbelievably good. So what will be the future of the combined entities? We will be bigger, stronger. We have great people surrounding us. Two great founders from Starlink joining us, merging two great companies. With a marketplace which is growing 10%, and we are usually growing 20% plus. So there's plenty of opportunity for all of us moving forward, and having Nidal and Mahmoud as partner in our company is just fantastic, and I'm really looking forward to the next years to come to develop together a real great company in that region and beyond that globally.